the OSP is failing to meet public confidence and expectation because some persons are already lacing their boots to mount pressure on the president and to ask him to leave office. Do we have to get the OSP out of office? And some of the other emerging issues we will look at here this morning on Prime Insight. Be my guest, but there's also the talk about the $10 million tax waiver being given by the Ministry of Finance. That is a strange one if you want to look at it, because many are asking why you'd grant a $10 million tax waiver to Tata Consultancy Limited to implement an integrated tax system for the Ghana Revenue Authority. And that's how interesting the story is. We'll take a look at it, look at the justification from the Finance Minister and what he said about it during the budget presentation for 2026. And then we'll take the reaction of the minority as well, because they are raising some concerns as to why this is being done and what value it will bring to the tax administration system. All of that will break down for you. But many of us now are saddened by that shocking video of one man being identified as John Odamte, who was seen online abusing his wife. That issue is bringing to the fore questions as to what the Gender and Social Protection Ministry is doing to provide cushioning for the vulnerable in our communities. Thanks to the gentleman who shared the video online, at least the Ghana Police Service is giving us an indication that the CID department is under active investigation on that matter. Mr. Odamte, we understand, has been arrested by the Ghana Police Service. But what's more beyond this in terms of policy? Because the indication we're getting, for instance, from the Gender Minister is that there's a review that is scheduled to take place on our broad national gender strategy. What kind of policies are we set to see from the Gender Minister? We will be speaking to her shortly. And of course, she'll be explaining to us what will be done in the coming days beyond the case of John Odamte, because there are so many cases of abuse going on, and many are asking the question, what will the Gender Minister do about this? So she'll speak to us here on Prime Insight. You want to be my guest, and also feel free to comment and share your thoughts with us this morning. We'll read them out to the rest of the world as we move on with the show. Thanks for joining us. When we return after this brief break, then we get into the matters. Please stay. All right, it was that brief, isn't it? As I indicated, you're welcome back to Prime Insight. I'll be telling you about my guest and panel for today. And then we have some in-studio audience who will be sharing their thoughts on some of the issues that we're hearing of. But I want to first of all go online, onto the telephone lines now, and let's speak to Dr. Agnes Namomolate, who's Gender and Social Protection Minister. She's joining us on the telephone lines just to share her brief thoughts with us on this video that we've seen about the gentleman. Fortunately, the CID has given us a confirmation that the man, Odamte, is under their custody. Of course, they're investigating the matters, and we will see what the outcome will be. But how do we, going forward, enforce strict compliance to, moving away from gender-based violence? Good morning to you, Namomo, as you're affectionately called. And it's a Saturday morning. Apologies for waking you up this early. But we're all sad about the video. What was your first impression when you saw that video online?
Good morning to you and your audience. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, already on the move. I want to thank you for having me. When I saw the video, my first impression was, I don't know how to describe it, but it's beyond words. That it was difficult watching one human being do this to another one. And I was asking myself questions. If I didn't finish watching when I forwarded it to the CID to track the person, the perpetrator, and then see where we can locate them. And so it's been emotional. But like you said, it's one of many. Almost every day we receive issues of abuse and all that. And I keep telling people that when you're directly involved, it's not a story, but people's lived experiences.
Yeah.
And it's always comes to you, like it could be you or a loved one. And so whatever we need to do, we have to come together as a people to do it. Because these are things that are happening in people's homes, in the privacy of their homes. And the law will get there, but the law will also need arms and legs and voices like us, every citizen, to bring it to light so that the perpetrators can be brought to book, and it will serve as a deterrent to others who are like-minded.
Right.
In this country.
It will be unfair to say that, well, we should just focus on this case and see it through. There are so many outstanding cases in the country, bringing to the fore the question about policy. I recall you speaking at the 2025 Africa Women Conference, where you give a hint that there's going to be a national review. There are some new strategies that you're putting in place. What practically or concretely are you going to be doing in the coming days and to tackle that?
Thank you very much. At the policy level, we have lots of policies. We have laws, some undergoing review and all that. And thanks to the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, it's been very smooth trying to get most of our policies through cabinet and then to parliament. And since we came, if you observe, from early childhood care and development policy, national gender policy, and then the Social Protection Act. All of these things have seen facelift, and then they've been reviewed to take on emerging issues. So in terms of the law, the Domestic Violence Act is going, so now the bill is going through a review very soon. It's with the AG now, very soon to go to Parliament. The challenge is the enforcement of the law, the implementation of our laws and policies. That is where you have it slowing processes of people getting justice and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But for the laws, we have them. It is the enforcement that we need to beef up and then make sure that there's enough resources. When I talk of not just the financial, but the capacity of the individuals responsible for implementing these laws and policies is equally important. And what we are doing, even at the policy level, monitoring, there's been so many reports of abuse and violence in the various communities, regions, all across. We are trying to monitor and work with all relevant stakeholders to ensure that justice is served. Because when you don't see it when you don't get some conclusion on the case, people feel when they offend the law, they can get away with it. And you know, when it delays, people also give up. So, and you get frustrated with the up and down trying to take justice. And so these are some of the bottlenecks. And in the particular case of abuse, the processes of getting the medical report, police report, all of that, sometimes frustrates victims. And so we are working together to see how some of these areas can be smoothed so that people can, rush out to say that this is what I'm going through. And then as a people, our own attitude of not, shaming the victim that, oh, this is the abused person. This is the person who went through this humiliating situation. But we offering support, being the support base for some of these victims is very, very important. How we, behave towards them so that we don't get them stigmatized. And that is what, deter people from coming out to say, this is what I'm going through. So we have a long way to go. I'm sure that as we enter into the 16 days of activism, we're going to intensify much of the work. There have been some reports. We are following up with institutions like the Ghana Education Service to see how far they have gone with their own laws, while the criminal aspect is being handled by the police.
All right.
So as you know, we will monitor the implementation processes to ensure justice is served.
Okay.
But we don't do the arrest, and we also don't prosecute.
I get that. But speaking about the interim measures you're doing in terms of intervention for this woman who was abused allegedly by the individual, at least we've seen that online, but of course he has to go through the justice system. Let's speak about what measures you're putting in terms of protective measures for the children involved and the spouse of this alleged abuser.
Okay, so for the woman, she's safe. Harriet is safe. One of the things, initially we had trust challenges, trust in the institutions that are supposed to protect her. But after some talks, she came to understand that we all need help at one point or the other. And she willingly, opened up, and then we sent her to a safe place where we commenced a psychosocial support for her. And then the police came in to also ask her to assist with the investigation. So she's safe. She's safe now, assisting with the investigations, and hopefully we'll have some conclusion to that. But that is not the end of it.
Yeah.
That is not the end of it. We need to reintegrate her and then children into society, in a safe environment. And what we're doing now is trying to, anybody with any information on the whereabouts of the children, it's been difficult. Harriet's situation is one of such that is very difficult. We are dealing with a very, should I say, stubborn perpetrator in terms of the environment. If I was there and a staff came to tell me that this is the challenge they are having, I'm sure that I will be wondering why things are not moving faster. But as we speak, I have been there, I have witnessed it, and I have seen what is happening. And so I know that it's a situation, if you leave Harriet to go back into the same house, we are going to have a bad news afterwards. Yeah. I have experienced some of the family members, and I know their mindset and orientation, and I know it is not helpful as we speak. Yeah. And that is the more reason why the Department of Social Welfare wants to take custody of the children, and they are just hiding the children. And they keep, this cat and mouse game all over the place with the police as well. But definitely, we are poised and really determined to ensure that Harriet and her kids are safe.
Okay. Thanks for joining us this morning. And as you were saying, you're already on the move. We wish you the very best for the day. Dr. Agnes Namo-Molatey, Minister responsible for gender and social protection. Ivan Che is joining me this morning after weeks of abandoning us. But it's a good time that you're coming. Ivan, good morning to you. And of course, you work in the health space as well, so you're able to tell now what's even going through the mind of these little ones and even the woman. And you've heard from the gender minister as well. You've seen the video too?
Yes.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very disgusting to watch, especially looking at where we are and the advances we've made as a country. And these are some of the things no normal person would expect at this time, but it's quite unfortunate. But we must also admit that these are the realities that people live on a daily basis. If you go to our homes, these are not something like unusual. They are very common. And I think that in policy-wise, we need to come up with very stringent and very stiff policy interventions to address some of these things, because they happen because some people believe that we have this male dominance kind of attitude in our homes, where people think that the man is in charge and he's to like some sort of a domineering posturing, and you are always in control. And very often, these are some of the things that give rise to some of these things. So I think with this particular issue, I think we need to use it as some sort of a turning point, just to change this whole narrative about this whole domestic abuse thing, because they do happen. Very often you hear the family members moving in to plead on behalf, and some of the issues very often become foolish cases, you understand? So there is always enough incentive or motivation for people to go into some of these things. But let me commend the gender minister for the swift response, because I watched the video, she was in the house there, and if you look at how social media also reacted to this particular matter, it tells you that some of these acts are barbaric, they are primitive, they have no space in our social environment. That is why the video has been trending all over. And I think that we need to move beyond the social condemnation and come out with strict policy alternative that will help us address some of these things, because these are daily realities women are undergoing. That is why if you go to Europe, they have deliberately made specific laws to ensure that the vulnerable are taken care of. And I think that is what we need to do, because we are coming from a society where it is underpinned by a certain primitive and outdated culture, where people think that, oh, the man is in charge, just like I said, and women go through a whole lot of abuses. Whatever the woman did in this particular instance, there is nothing that can justify the sort of abuse and the sort of what she was subjected to. And I think we need to condemn.
If there's anything I like about the approach of the Ghana Police Service now, it will be about how swift they've been online picking up issues, because anytime someone posts something, of course the next minute they're right after the individual.
Yes, because you see, now you cannot rely on newspapers, because by the time the
issue comes out,
it's already dead on social media. And I think if you want prompt reaction to some of these things, social media is the best place. And it's good that our security agencies are up and doing online, and they are working on some of these things. Because quite recently I saw a video of a man sleeping with a kid, and people were there videoing. The following day, I think the man was picked by the police, and then the investigation started. I think the result of some of these cases must also be communicated, because in criminal, whatever you want to call it, in order to deter people, I think publicity of the outcome of whatever the punishment is something that must be communicated to people, because that is where the essence of deterrence will work. Because if you punish somebody and people don't get to know it, at the end of the day, you've done nothing, you understand? So I think the outcome of some of these cases must be communicated clearly to people out there so that we understand. And also, there is this thing that I need to address. You see, if you go to our various homes, or where we are coming from, there is this mindset that people very often rush into marriages and they go empty-handed. You see, I keep telling people that don't never walk into a marriage empty-handed, because it's just like going on to the negotiation table and you have no bargaining, advantage. At the end of the day, you leave empty-handed. Nothing will go in your favor. So we come from a background where people think, oh, I'm going into a marriage and a man is to take care of me. That era is gone, because those were the days somebody would go and wait for 7 years for a wife. Today, if you ask a man to wait for a day for a wife, he will not, because that time marriage used to be some sort of a slavery kind of an association between a man where the woman goes to serve the man. But now it is some sort of a partnership where two adults come together, very responsible, you complement each other to make each other better. So if you go into a marriage with the notion that, oh, he said he loves me, and you go with nothing, at the end of the day, you become a fodder cannon, because you keep demanding, and the man will see you as some sort of a nuisance. So I'm also urging young people to take advantage. If you're a woman, at least try and learn trade. Go to a marriage with something, so that you don't become indispensable in the marriage. Because in most of these cases, people are living in abused marriages because they have nowhere to go. Because on their own, they cannot stand. If you cannot stand on your own, never rush into a marriage, because if you're not careful, you become a fodder cannon, because a time will come, the person will be subjecting you to all sort of abuses. You have nowhere to go. Some of these things...
there's the economic dimension as well. And probably that's where we should be looking a bit more at the gender minister and what they're doing. We need to empower more women.
Yes.
Because that's the sad reality. So if you're asking them to go into the marriage with something at least...
Yes, I think it's something. I think there are these barbaric cultural underpinnings that very often motivate people to undertake some of these. Oh, he said he loves me, he has money. You see, the thing is that when you keep asking for something from someone, if the person is not complaining, the time will come become a nuisance. And the person think that, oh, this one, she has nowhere to go. You are grounded. And the person will begin to do certain things because at the end of the day, what do you bring? Nothing, you understand? You have few people who will still respect you, because if you look at marriage, when you are going into marriage at the early stage, love will sustain you. But if you speak to those who have married for long, love has nothing to do with the longevity of marriage. It's respect, which is mutual, and then the friendship that you create with a person. So I think if you don't see some of these things and you go into some of these things, I think it will be a problem. And going forward, I think that the policy dimension is something that we need to...
And regardless of the economic position of the woman, we're not saying it's an excuse.
No. You can never justify this in any way. You can never justify. So I'm urging that as a country, we need to move past some of these things and come out with stringent policy that will address some of these challenges.
Amazing. My audience, have you all watched the video? I don't know if you've seen the video already.
You see, you can't finish watching the video because it's so emotional. The moment I watched the video, I felt like no relative of mine, I wouldn't, irrespective of anything, I would never watch no relative of mine to be in that state. I was very sad. You see, I think it's high time we uphold our moral values. You see, when a country loses its moral values in certain issues like this, people tend to do certain things just like that. You see, at first, you can't just go around abusing women like that. And also, I'd like to advise our women to make sure that they enter a relationship or marriages knowing the person they are entering into, not just because they've seen money or something, so that it can help them best. Sure.
You've also watched same? Anyone with a take on that? You've all watched the video, have you?
Okay, I also watched the video. It was very sad reality that I realized that the man was not even ashamed of doing certain acts, because our agency have not implemented these laws, and I've never heard it well. Because if in a situation where the law works and people are pulled for their wrongdoings, nothing will go wrong, and people will never do such an act. Because how can you beat your own wife you claim you loved? This is very sad. You see, and even you have stripped the woman naked. I watched the woman talking on this issue and how it went, how the man plotted everything. It's very sad. Our agency should protect us. But I will call on the gender minister to make sure that laws are passed, are strengthened, so that anyone who forms victim under this one will be held tight and will be do it, and the punishment will be posted online for people to know, because it will serve others to do what is right. But if the video doesn't come out, what do we know? How did it end? We didn't even hear about what goes on. It has been covered. That is very bad. They should let the public know what is happening, the punishment the man got, so that it will serve as an example to others. Again, our lawmakers should help us make laws that will let people be afraid of doing such an act, because domestic violence is never tolerated. How can you do that thing to a lady? It's very bad.
Very bad.
That's my opinion.
Ivan, if there's something we're not paying attention to, it will be the individual who filmed all of this. That was a courageous individual. You're a tenant in someone's house, and you film your landlord. You're getting out the next day, probably. But anyway, there's a contract on that. But it shows how, humane he is watching this and just being concerned and filming it.
I think that is what has given rise to some of these things. Somebody might argue that she was duty bound to intervene when the act was going on. But this could be an individual maybe who is sick and tired of this constant occurrence. This is something that has been in play. All the time. And it's quite unfortunate. And I think this is a turning point for us. Like I said, we need to use this particular case to turn the narrative for people to know that you cannot hold such, despicable abuses on your fellow human being, whether the person is your wife or not. It doesn't justify anything. And we turn the narrative around so that going forward, some of these things don't come up. With regards to video, like I said, the video I told you about, there was an old man who was sleeping with a young lady and somebody was there videoing.
Yeah, the one for the central region. I think I watched.
Very sickening. That is the most disgusting video I've ever watched in my life, and people were giving commentary. You see, so if you go into the mind of these people, for them, that is normal. So some sort of a cultural orientation that they don't see anything wrong with some of these things. But I think despite the person's personal orientation or whatever attitude the person has, we need to infuse them into a certain reality that this is the country we live in, regulated by laws. These are some of the ways we do things. If you do some of these things contrary to law, the consequences that are waiting, people do some of these and they get away because of the so-called laxity in the implementation of the laws, just like my brother said. So I think we must begin to send loud messages to people out there that some of these barbaric things do not have a space in our environment, and that the state is willing to take corrective measures to address some of these things. Failure to do so will give rise to some of these things, and we will continue to be talking about this because we are very reactionary people, Ghanaians.
Yes.
When an issue happens like this, then everybody will fixate on it. We talk about it. We can spend the whole of this week to dwell on this particular matter. Yeah. After a week, nobody will even remember this particular case. Nobody will even follow to see what has become of this particular issue until another issue comes up and then we fixate on it.
But I feel there should be a reward for this individual. Probably give him some cash or encouragement.
The person who recorded the video.
Yes, and reported it.
There is
he was really brave.
Yeah, and there is other dimension to that because somebody is being abused.
Yeah.
You are a human being standing there. You also have a duty to also intervene.
Protect,
you understand? So it's
but just that's a way of encouraging.
It's two-way argument. But I think we must also encourage people that in instances and situations like this, you must report because there are people who are going through some of these things. Yes. And the aspect where we must also encourage people is there are people who are afraid to report. And there are those who are going through the same thing because they have no other place to go. Yeah. And that is one thing that people are locked up in marriages because they have no place to go. Because when such things happen and they go back to their families, they will tell them, go back. They will not even ask
and the gender
what
minister
happened.
has just spoken about
exactly,
that.
they will ask you to go back.
The man is, quote-unquote, being stubborn.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the family too. That's a shocking fact.
Yes, because nobody will be willing at this time to, take care of you. That's for coming back. You also, maybe you have nothing. You become sort of a burden. Yeah. They don't care about what you're going through. Yeah. You understand? So I think we must begin to institute measures, and our social mechanism must also be improved to ensure that some of the vulnerable people in our society are taken care of. Because if you go to Europe, the government would have taken custody of the children and you never see them again. And there are individuals who will be willing to take care of them. I think these are some of the social intervention that we must begin to look at in order to address some of these challenges, because they are very disgusting, they are very disheartening, and we cannot be sitting here constantly putting this thing at play and they keep happening. We must put an end to some of these barbaric and primitive practices.
You know what? I agree with you on this, Ivan. Also joining us this morning, Deputy CEO, Forestry Commission, and also Deputy National Organizer of the NDC, Elikem Kotoko, is joining us this morning. Good morning to you, and it's been a while. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Kwesi Botwe Jr. is a private legal practitioner, also joining us this morning. He's a member of the New Patriotic Party as well. So he's joining us as well this morning. But let's close the chapter on this agenda issue. Elikem, I'll take your thoughts on it. You've also seen a video that's gone viral.
In fact, I saw the first probably 5 seconds of the video, and I refused to watch the rest. Sincerely. And so I didn't want to know anything about it because I am a bit very emotional with such kind of abuses. Yeah. It doesn't matter who. Even if it was a man being abused, it doesn't matter whether it was a kid or so. And so I rather was reading the news and listening to what it was all about. And when the gentleman was apprehended, I saw the picture of him and later subsequent pictures of the lady when she was young and pretty looking, then the assaults and the marks on her. And I was so pained. And people like that make me feel, for once, there should be some kind of Sharia law. Is that what they call it?
An extreme one.
Yes, a very extreme one. Look, I keep saying that we cannot be treating certain matters with velvet gloves and be expecting results in return. And it must also be established that society itself has failed itself. Society, we have failed ourselves. Like my brother said, there are various dimensions to these. the very people who were filming these did us a good service by getting it known to the public. But they equally did the woman a disservice.
Okay,
but who knows? Yeah. There could be other circumstances for which reason they could not have approached. Maybe they were also feeble. They could not have attacked the man or overpower him. And so even if 3 of you went there, he could have even assaulted you all. We saw the video of the military guy who went to the pharmacy and was assaulting virtually everybody in there and all of that. It is so sad. I mean, whatever be the case, and a few questions kept running in my mind. After you assault her this way, after a few days or weeks, would you want to make up with her again in bed and then say what to her? Will you ever gather the courage to say, I am sorry for what happened last week? And these are very abusive men. Such a person should be sent not only to a psychiatric facility for testing, but all processes that he ought to go through medically should be done. And we need to study his background, where he grew from, what was his orientation, and all of that. It tells you again, as I have always maintained, that education is everything. And many have mistakenly taken education to be the only process through which we can get a work or get money and all of that. But education stops most of these things. And this must be done at the very basic level where we get to learn certain things and imbibe in us a culture of knowing that this is right, that is wrong, this you should never try. I mean, if you watch the whole thing, I am very disgusted. I don't wish to know whatever, but I pray.
Iva is talking about the economic aspect too.
Yes, I was coming to it, and yes, I nearly forgot this. The Tesano police must be taken on seriously. If we do not mention them in these, then we are leaving out a very integral part of this whole process. I listened to the video, I listened to her interview yesterday, and she said that there were a few times she had to go and report to the police, and on one of the occasions when she went and she was accompanied by a police officer, they got there, and even in front of her and the police, the man removed her SIM card, chewed it, and spat in front of them that it was her, he bought the phone for her, and there was nothing they could do. They asked that he follows them, and he said he was not going to do that, and there was nothing they could do. I don't want to believe that that our police is outnumbered under circumstances of that nature, under any issue of domestic violence.
And this is just one man.
This is just one man. Under instances of domestic violence, once you are told seriousness must be attached to it, and people must be deployed, men must be deployed in numbers to deal with that, so that it serves as a deterrent. But if that happens, I've come to report to you, and you send, pardon my language, but you send one feeble woman to accompany another vulnerable woman to go and address an issue. The woman accompanying reaches there and realizes that this man would assault the two of us, and then you've done nothing. So we must, and I'm sorry the police has no excuse if you don't have men. It also tells that if we need more...
No, but I mean, how many men would you need for this
attitude of indifference?
Yes.
Like always.
And we all know of this experience. For some time now, I have been commending the police service for the stellar and swift works they are doing. But in this case, the Ghana Police Service failed this woman. They failed us as a people. And that woman could be my sister. She could be my relative. I don't know whether... I always relate things to our children. I don't know if my child will become married to her daughter or son in the future. So we must care about these things. And we must hear from the police service as well too. And then to the women also, I know it is the more reason why it is always said that whatever be the case, if you move into a marriage, do not accept in this modern day and age to just be a housewife. Because when circumstances get out of hand, you don't even have a penny of your own to do anything. So she now becomes constrained and feels that if I live here,
cope with that,
and then there's some stigma also. If I leave the marriage and go home, they will say, once, you know, they will find all manner of things to tag you with. And so you look at all this stigma, and many people are either dying or being maimed in marriages they are locked up in.
One final thing I want to take on, so I come to Kwesi. The promise you make to the women of Ghana as the NDC leading up to the elections. You need to fulfill that because, I mean, that will give more economic opportunities.
That is it. And it is the reason why I am very happy. For the first time also, we have as a nation a female vice president, which is very significant and telling enough to say that, look, the woman can rise to the highest level, can break the ceiling. Because as we speak, what it means is that we even have a female president. at any point the president is not in town
then
or around, she becomes acting president. So we now have even a female president in this country. So it is a model for everybody to learn from.
Yeah, but that will not be enough.
Alone is not enough.
Promises.
Because the promises, we will make sure we fulfill that. If it has to do with empowering women, making sure that yesterday and this morning, let me say yesterday, I was driving on the motorway. And then on one of the construction work was ongoing, and one of the women I saw operating the roller machine. One of the operators I saw was a woman, young woman, braided her hair nicely, and I was like, yeah, this is women empowerment. What the men can do, the women can do better. But we cannot rule out the fact that women are seen, considered to be the weaker sex, and therefore there must be some special treatment given to them in order to help them. I have maintained that we as men in particular must always open the door for women, hold it open for them to walk through. In that case, you will agree with me, as everybody here, that when a woman succeeds, the greater people succeed compared to we the men. If you and I are very successful today, we are thinking of which car to buy tomorrow, where to sit and drink, which friends to go and show off, which schools mates to go and see, to do whatever. But when a woman succeeds, the first thing she wants to see is her home being properly established, the children and all of that. So we will continue that. And I can say proudly that it is something the National Democratic Congress is known from the era of President Rawlings, and it is one of the reasons, again, that many would forever remember the late Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings for the integral role she played for the women and girl child empowerment, and something we are doing very well. So I look forward to improving that, which I have no doubt will be achieved.
We say may her soul rest in peace. She'll be laid to rest at the end of the month.
Yes.
Kwesi, your thoughts on this, especially knowing that you're a lawyer as well. Many are asking that, well, this woman could take the man on. Legally, are there options for this individual who's been abused now?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to you. Good morning to colleague panel members, and good morning to our cherished studio audience. I think that first and foremost, I feel very embarrassed and ashamed as a man that in this modern day and age, we are sitting on live television to discuss our fellow man abusing a woman. I think it's very unfortunate. And I think that as men, we should stop embarrassing ourselves. Elike made the point that he believes it's a matter of education. But I don't think it's a matter of education or poverty. Because if you look at the global statistics, the World Health Organization reports that about 480 million women have been abused so far. That's their lifetime toll. And in Ghana, the Ghana Statistical Service also reports that over 40% of women are abused annually in this country. And so I think it's an alarming, the rate is quite alarming. Because for 40% of women to be abused in this country, it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. And so I think that it's quite unfortunate. And I don't think it's a question or a matter of policy or laws. The laws are there. It has to do with the enforcement. I listened to the minister speak. It's clearly a matter of enforcement, because I do not think also that what this man did to the wife is a matter of domestic abuse. It's a criminal act, because our laws are clear on it. It's a clear case of assault or a clear case of causing harm. It's a criminal act there and there. We shouldn't sometimes limit or try to underestimate some of these matters. It's a criminal act. It is incumbent upon the police to take action. The woman in herself would only have remedy in tort law. I mean, to just sue the man. And clearly, if you look at this woman, I don't think she even has the financial strength
to do
undertake the legal process. The state may get her a lawyer and all that. However, you need to pay something small for filing and other court charges. And so I think that it is the state that must take on this matter. It shouldn't be left to the woman. And I think that this shouldn't just be a matter of, like Ivan mentioned, that because it's in the media space, we talk about it and nothing happens. And my brother, this is a situation that happens all the time. We're only fortunate that somebody had the courage to take a video and post it online. But people are abusing their partners day in, day out. And this is not a matter, like I said, it's not a matter of education. There are elite people abusing their wives. There are elite people abusing even their children. Yes. There are rich people abusing their wives. Just that, we live in a society where if you divorce, people see you to be an outcast or
somebody with a bad behavior or, somebody who is unwilling to persevere. But I don't think that is the case. I think that women are better off divorced than dead. Because you are better off as a single mother or as a single woman than dead. Because looking at how, watching the video, it seems that the man has the experience in beating women. Because you see how he was, holding he actually has a cane at home. Can you imagine? He has 2 canes at home. It means it's something that is habitual.
Yeah.
He's been beating the woman frequently. Because how, the woman also kept pleading and kept begging, and the man just didn't want to listen and was beating the woman. This is unfair. The woman is also somebody's daughter, somebody's, mother and all that. But you see, all these things, originates from the fact where some men think the fact that they pay the bride price of a woman means that the woman has been sold to them or the woman is their slave. It will surprise you that in this modern day and age, some men have that kind of mentality, that I have paid your bride price, you belong to me. I don't think that is the case. I think as men, we must orient ourselves to understand that the women are better halves. They are there to complement and to help us. They are there to make life easy for us. They are not there to serve as punching bags and, when we feel uncomfortable, we just, grab a cane and begin to lash them. And so I am hoping that by Monday, the police should arrange this man in court for assaulting this woman, for causing harm to this woman. And what even makes it worse is the fact that this is unprovoked. You see the woman begging. The man kept on, beating
it's a very sad one.
The woman.